Hello, how's it going? So, in this video, I'm gonna bring to you a client interview from the man himself, Rahim, and today we're just gonna go over how we helped him scale to 40K a month. You know, the stuff he did before that, the steps we took in between to actually get him there, and obviously the next steps to scale him moving further. So, without further ado, I'm just gonna let the man introduce himself. Take it away.
Yes. Thank you for having me. My name's Rahim Farhouni, founder of the Easy Marketing Lab. I run an webinar agency. I run a marketing agency. I have a little course on the side as well that we're selling, but not as much as we used to. We're mainly focusing on the marketing agency, which you helped me a great deal with. And I'm happy to be here, man, to answer all the questions and let the people know what's possible.
Yes, sir. Let's do it, man. So yeah, let's talk about how it first started. Actually, how did you find about me? How did we even have a first conversation in the first place?
Yeah, for sure. So, funny story. I actually found you at a perfect time, to be honest, because like I said, I had a course business. I mainly was running a course. I was a coach at the same time, but I really wanted to move more towards a service agency where we actually deploy a service to a business and be kind of a growth partner. And I saw you in somebody else's, I think I saw an interview of you, or you were doing some consulting in somebody else's program searches, to be specific. And that's where I was like, all right, this man really knows his stuff. Let me hop on a call with him because he's kind of doing exactly what I'm leaning towards too. And the rest is history, man. That's how I found
Yeah,
you.
that's great, man. Yeah, and could you dive into specifically what you do in this marketing agency that you're serving right now specifically?
Yeah, specifically. So right now, it's kind of funny because everything I used to coach people on, now we just do it for them, which is just so much better because now I don't have to rely on the person to put in that work. The completion rate is a lot higher because I know things is getting done because we know what we're doing. So what we do specifically is just get people a lot of attention, create a lot of content for them. You help me with that as well as you take care of a video and your team. It's so amazing to be able to work with you guys. I apply all the organic methods that I use to teach. So I help them with getting a lot of organic attention. And then we also put in the frameworks and systems to monetize all of that attention so they get more book calls and obviously also more clients and sales.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And before, obviously, let's go back a little bit. So before you actually met us, what would you say your revenue was like actually for this new offer that you actually wanted to start?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a new offer. So if I'm being really specific, it was ground zero. I wasn't making any money with that offer. I just had an idea at first, and I was thinking like, all right, now how do I go about this? It's obviously a way different ball game from just putting out a course and doing a once a week call. So with the course business, I was doing about, I would say 5 to 10K. Could have done a lot more, but I was just not focusing on it as much anymore, and I really tried to move to something different. With the marketing agency, I started from scratch, so I was doing zero. And yeah, today one of our biggest months, has been well over $40,000. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, which is crazy, man. That's crazy, man. So, what would you say was kind of the biggest change that you had that kind of accelerated all of your growth? What would you say was the biggest thing that took you from zero to the 40?
Oh, that's such a difficult question because it's so many different pieces all together from the
Exactly.
clarity you brought to the messaging. But if you would tell me the biggest part was you helped me really build a proper team, and not only that, help like the shadowing sessions you did with my setter, and the messaging you provided to make sure my offers are no brainer, so I'm not just a commodity out there in the market field. I think that's
Exactly.
really what pinpointed success. So the messaging and that together with a really strong team that you helped me build is just that made it so much easier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And let's just talk about the team specifically. So obviously previously before it was kind of one man army right now. So
Yeah,
how does it kind of look like from an acquisition side of point and also a delivery side of point? What have we specifically helped you implement?
for sure. So yeah, I had at the course business, I had a setter, but actually when I started transitioning, I let that person go because I wasn't focusing on that anymore, and I didn't know how to leverage that person also for the new venture. And when I found you were like, hey, bring that person back on. I'm going to train that person. And you know exactly what that person needs to do, how they can acquire clients for us, how they need to be out there and talk to the people and where to find the people. So I left that in your hands. You did some amazing sessions still to this date. And I mean, that has just been going great. We booked another few calls here today as well. So I'm super excited about how that's going.
Yeah.
So from acquisition, we right now have one solid appointment setter due to you, do your practice and your training. On top of that, I have you and your entire team that I can leverage for the delivery side of things. Since you guys and you in particular are so good at producing video content specifically, whenever our client needs help with that, I refer them to you guys or basically leverage you guys to make sure that gets taken care of. So I have that as well as kind of part of my team. And I have one head coach that takes consulting calls with any of my clients that need them. So it's all of you, your team, it's my setter, it is my head coach, and then I have one VA that does kind of the manual stuff as well. Some publishing content on my timeline, it's just automated processes or manual processes that need to be on a day-to-day basis taken care of. I have a VA that does that as well, which also you put in place for me. So that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. You put a lot of stuff in place, man. So yeah, it was actually quite interesting because I remember you actually had a few like weeks or months, few months off where you were actually working, and stuff was like still running in the background, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of walk me through. How did you feel when that stuff was like happening, like working for you?
That was amazing. I mean, I went to Marbella, I went to Morocco, I traveled like crazy. You were even at the point like, hey
Yeah.
man, you're traveling so much, what's going on? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just love the how do you call that? Reap the fruits of your labor. I think that's how they say it. So
Exactly.
in the meanwhile, it didn't affect my business, right? In a bad way. I actually got more inspired, and my business was growing at the same time. And that's just because my setter was so dialed in. I was still taking calls wherever I was, and I mean, I was able to actually make some really good days or really good revenue while I was abroad, as opposed to being behind the desk. So
Exactly.
yeah, again, it's having a streamlined team and having a core message, a really good message for the marketplace that just makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's very true because there might be a lot of people watching that if they know for a fact if they take like a week or like they don't really answer the
Yeah,
calls, the business is kind of like done for like a whole. It's just done literally. So it's not a good
yeah,
position to be in. So yeah, literally, it
yeah,
makes a lot of
exactly,
sense.
man.
So yeah, and like the types of calls that you've been booking in as well too, because I remember when we obviously started doing this stuff, you were mentioning before that you had a lot of people that were like that were just hopping on the calls. You wouldn't really say they were qualified. Now, how would you say kind of like the lead quality has been right now?
Yeah, so the lead quality has improved big time.
Hmm.
It's mainly because one of the things you told me was be more vocal in your messaging. So be more strict about like rather have no leads coming in than the wrong leads coming in, right? So
Exactly.
really worked on my messaging and the people we call out were way more specific instead of just trying to put stuff out for engagement's sake. So
Yeah.
I think again it all comes down to messaging. So the lead quality has improved a lot, but it's also because we put together that VSL,
Exactly.
which also helped nurture the audience before they hop on a call. They know exactly what I do, what's going on, what's going to happen on that call as well, what they're there for. So I think the VSL has been a big role in that. And again, being more vocal in your messaging, not just putting out content for the sake of content, but really talking to that specific person that can afford your services, which is what we're doing right now.
Exactly, yeah. And even when we dive into that VSL part, it was like I remember when you did the first initial like two-step post, like the response was kind of crazy. Like you got so many people
Yeah,
that were actually interested in it, and that was when like I was like, hey, there's too much demand here, bro. You need a setter to come in to take care of it. And
exactly.
so yeah, what would you say was kind of like so when you hopped on these calls with people, what would you say was like the reaction when you presented this like offer that we helped you build out? What would you say was the reaction?
Yeah. What's great is before I just did calls just kind of like this. I hop on a call, we talk, I listen to them, I go through a certain script, of course. But after I went through your sales process and see the way you operate and put out value, you're really good at putting together flowcharts. So I said, you know what, I'm going to create a flowchart for myself to use on these calls, and people love it because it's so visual. It makes it so clear. It's such a logical process for them now. So the response has been great, especially due to having a flowchart to work with to showcase what we'll be doing, how it's going to work for them. That really gets them over the edge and excited to start working with us.
Yeah, exactly. And even when you talked about that process as well too, because you actually did like a very interesting approach when it came to your sales process, where you would actually have a discovery call with them, try to figure out what the stuff is, and then you would actually craft a specific plan for them, which obviously
Yeah,
some people might not do, but like when you're doing deals that are like five figures upwards, you'd rather spend the 15 or 20 minutes time it's
it's
going to take
worth
you to
it.
actually create it. It's literally worth it. So like, yeah, kind of talk to me like people's reactions about that, because I think it worked extremely well for you, because you had a couple of people that you actually DM closed after you sent them the loom. So yeah.
Big time. Yeah, yeah. So we recently have a $12,000 paid in full deal that's literally happening today, as a matter of fact. And that person, that was one of the most recent calls. When they saw the flow chart, they literally said, "I've never seen anything like this. This is exactly what I need." We carried. I said, "All right, I'm going to send you a message." We carried the conversation further on Messenger. And I mean, the rest is history. I mean, send over the contract and paid. And before that, even the other people that initially, because it's quite a high ticket price, they couldn't afford it. But just because of the impact of the call, they were like, I need to be able to get this no matter what. So they're going to actually try harder to find a way to afford it. They suggest payment plans. They try to come up with solutions to work with me. And that's not something you see a lot out there. A lot of people are just struggling
Yeah.
to convince the person in the first place, or have to push them through payment plans. And they're right now coming to us saying, "Hey, what can we do to make this work?" So, man, it's just
Exactly.
being amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have like, I remember every single day your setter would just message you like, Rahim, this person wants to pay, this person wants to pay. It's like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. The demand was crazy actually. So like, what would you say is the reason why most coaches can't even get to that point in the first place, where they have something that's so like wanted by the market? Like, why would you say most coaches don't even get to that point in the first place?
Yeah, messaging big time. So I used to think my problem is lead generation. A lot. I actually created a video on this and put it on my story. I used to think. Can you still hear me? By the way, I think I lost you for a second. Let me know if you can still hear me, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. Okay. So I used to think lead generation. I think a lot of coaches think that I need more people to see my stuff, but that's not the thing. It's really your offer not being a commodity, really having clarity and making it more irresistible. Even if it is a commodity, finding ways that your messaging will make it more irresistible, that's key, because then it's going to be so much easier to sell. So really start, and you have such a good framework for this, as well as in, you took me through that process as well. And we do this for all of our clients now too, is identifying, all right, um, what is their offer really about? They come in thinking they already have this great offer, but
Yeah.
it's not honing in on the right pain points. The audience doesn't really care about the things you're promising. You thought it was great, but the audience doesn't think, and then it's not going to work. So really messaging is big time now. It's the biggest thing.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's so many people that I speak to. They think, oh, that offer is perfect. Like they went through some business coach, or they went through a course, or they read Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy's book, and then the offer, like no one wants to buy it. Literally, it's like, yeah. Because for context as well too, like you just have just about, I'd say, what would you say your audience size is on like Facebook in general?
On Facebook, so funny story actually. I had first I'd maxed out my audience with 5,000 plus, but it was filled with the wrong people, because right now we're really charging a more higher premium, and the audience I had for the course, just I knew for a fact that that wasn't the right audience for it. Also, not the kind of people I wanted to work with, because we put together some criteria of, all right, the person I want to work with, it needs to have this, and this. And the people I used to have on my following were kind of more beginners. So I deleted a bunch and started pretty much all the way from scratch again. I think now we have well over 4,000 followers. We're doing well. I recently got a notification on YouTube, which I wasn't doing at all since I started with you guys. Started doing YouTube. You guys helped me with that. I got a notification that I hit my first 20,000 views.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, we're building an audience, man, of the right people. So happy about that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, and just for context, it's like 4,000 people, and he was able to make that amount of money. It's like, if you have something that your audience really wants to buy, you can make a crazy amount of money with not a lot of people specifically. So some
Yeah,
people like to think that, oh, this person has like 10k, 20k, 50k followers, but here you are with like 4,000 followers, and you're doing
yeah,
your thing. It's crazy. So yeah, man.
exactly.
So what would so
Messaging,
like
man.
yeah, messaging. What would you say what would you say people get wrong the most when it comes to like messaging and like targeting the right people? What would you say is
Mm,
like the biggest mistake?
I think people are afraid of being super vocal with who they want to work with because they're afraid of not getting enough engagement, not getting enough people to comment. And that was my problem as well. It's like, all right, if I'm going to narrow down and not being as vocal, I'm not going to attract a lot of people, which is actually a good thing. You want to filter out. So really go for quality over quantity. And I think if I look at today's marketplace, if I scroll on Facebook, it's really open, calling out all business owners, all coaches, all it's just very generic. And it's
Yeah.
fine, but if you do that, know that you're also dealing with a lot of competition. So if you can hone in that messaging more specifically to, okay, it's all business coaches, but they need to be above 5K or up. They need to have an offer. They need to be here or here. Then you are talking to a more specific audience, and it's way better, way easier to close them. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Just being more vocal.
Yeah, exactly. Like being like super strict of the types of people you want to work with, because it's also going to go back to your delivery, because a lot of the times people like to think that they just keep improving, adding different things to the offer, but it's like the person you're also delivering it for also has to be of high quality as well too, because then
Yeah,
they're going to get high quality results as well too. So yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%. So like,
100%.
what would you say in terms of like the actual, let's say, like, let's go back to like the lead generation part when it comes to the actual
Yeah.
setting experience. What would you say? Because I remember you told me like Tar actually went through one of the multi seven figure companies when it comes to like appointment
Oh yeah,
setting.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what would
yeah.
you say was kind of like the big difference in terms of the setting process? Because I know you're not super
Mm,
involved with it, which is good, but obviously you see the
yeah,
chats, and yeah, what would you say was kind of like the most
I
interesting thing you
see.
implemented?
Yeah. So I took my setter through at that time one of the leading programs that was training setters. It was kind of the era where appointment setting really became a thing. There was
Yeah.
this company that was training setters, which I thought, okay, fair enough. I put a lot of money down, had my setter go through it. Um, and to be honest, it was really generic value. It wasn't generic in a sense, but it wasn't customized. It was more of a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Whereas when I took my setter to you, or when you took that person under your wing, it was really customized for my offer, the problems that that person was dealing with, the obstacles that she had in the conversation. You really pinpointed that on one-on-one shadowing sessions, and still to this date in Slack, whenever she's like, how do I respond to this message? Whereas with that big program, sure, it's costs a lot of money, it's big, but they can't provide you that hands-on support which she really needed, that took her from whatever level she was at to a whole new level. And she admitted that in the chat as well, saying, hey, this is way better than any training I've ever gotten. So yeah, it's just that more hands-on support, customized support, I would say, wins every day. Because if I buy another appointment setting course for her, it wouldn't do her as good than having someone by her side, or that she can talk to, or have an over-the-shoulder session with whenever she needs.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the importance of like customized mentorships, because that's the thing about programs is they're incentivized to just sell as much as possible, because that's where the money comes from. But let's say if you're working with people, and let's say you're doing like revenue share basis, or like you're working with specific types of people, you're
Yeah,
incentivized to make them more money, because if you make them more money, you're also going to make yourself more money at the same time.
exactly.
So it's like if you and that's another thing as well too about these like big corps that have like, let's say, like hundred thousands of like all the testimonials and case studies. You might think that, oh, this service is like is going to be custom, but like when you jump in, it's just going to be modules after modules. And then if
Mm,
something's not working, they're going to be like, oh, it's your mindset, like, oh, look at all these case studies we have,
yeah.
it's you're the problem.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
so many people go through that every single day. And it's so, because you can't really blame these guys, because at the end of the day they're incentivized to just sell as much as possible. So when they bring
uh,
these people in, it's like they don't get results, and they pay a lot of money to be in there. So yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's so true. And that's no offense to the programs. It sure works
Hmm.
to some degree or for some people, but there's a big difference between going through a generic program like that and having someone really looking at you and seeing what the problems are specifically. So yeah, I would choose the
Exactly.
latter any day.
Exactly. And like in terms of like obviously helping you as well too, like how important would you say has it been in terms of like accountability, making sure that you do the stuff every day, and also, having someone to, message and just look over your shoulder when you're trying to do something. What would you say that's kind of
Yeah,
impacted you?
helpful because I tend to, I travel a lot. I tend to enjoy my day a lot. So you can sometimes slip through the cracks with getting stuff done here and there. But having a team that holds you accountable as well. It's like, hey, this person is ready to be onboarded, or this person is ready to pay the invoice, etc. I don't have to chase every single avenue down in my business because that can be
Yeah.
very tiring. I just have to check in, see what needs to get done, take care of it, and just the final bits of everything, and the rest is being handled. And even while I'm not working, the business is still growing. I mean, having a team like this, having you guys, and also making sure you guys make sure my team is held accountable, helps you just grow that much faster. I mean, trying to save money and do all of yourself is really, really interesting. I'll keep it short. On this video I saw where it was the person said, I actually pity the person that has 100% margins because that means you're doing all the work yourself, right? Sure, you're
Yeah.
making a lot more money, but that means everything's on you. So I'd rather sacrifice some of my margin to make more money due to leverage. And that's what I've witnessed or experienced since I joined forces with you.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like a lot of people, they have this mindset of like, oh, they want to do everything themselves, but it goes back to the thing. It's like if you were doing everything yourself, if you wanted to decide to take a 2 week holiday, like you come back, you don't have a business anymore because you lose all that momentum. And it's actually funny because you make more money when you actually give away your margins more because you have more capacity to actually scale. So a lot of the people that
100%.
have this argument of like, oh, I don't want to give any money, I want to work by myself, I'll do everything myself, they're actually gonna make less money in the long run and work more, which is kind of funny. So yeah.
And yeah, and I get it though, because it's, let's say you have to pay like five figures or 10K or above to get into that state of where you have a lot of leverage and you're like, oh, that's 10K, but I'd rather save it. But it's really about, I'd rather make 10K over and over again whenever I want or how many times I can than saving it once and then wasting it on different stuff either way, right? So you really need to look at it from a different perspective because it's going to benefit you so much more when you have leverage than saving your
Exactly.
money one time for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, like speaking of like obviously how you do your, speaking of the money stuff, what would you say like you kind of like enjoy your time with? Like what do you kind of like spend your lifestyle on? Like what do you do with the money that you make actually?
Yeah, what did I do? So yeah, as you know, I live in a penthouse, so I chill here whenever I can,
Nice.
and this is all financed due to the success in the business. So
Let's
I'm blessed
go.
and happy. That was actually one of my main goals. Other than that, I travel like crazy. Man, if you see my stories, my highlights, you'll always find me somewhere, somehow on a plane to somewhere where the sun is, palm trees, and so yeah, I love traveling and I actually love working. So those are the two main things I do.
Nice. I love it. It's good. Yeah, it's the lifestyle that most people kind of dream of essentially. So yeah, like that was pretty cool, man. What would you kind of say is like, let's say your next steps, like moving forward to like obviously scale this to even bigger numbers?
Yeah, good question. So most of everything we've been doing so far, honestly, is organic. We haven't leveraged a single paid ad. So
It's
I'm
crazy.
thinking of slow. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, right? So I'm thinking of slowly getting into that, allocate. So, and the great thing is the money we're making organically, we can just take a little bit of that and put it into ads. It doesn't even have to come from the own pocket.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think moving forward, starting more into ads, maybe build a bigger team as well. So yeah, I think that's the main focus moving forward. See what that brings.
Yeah, because like a lot of people, they like to do it the opposite way. Like they'll be at
Yeah,
like 3 or 5K, and they'll be like, oh, just put like $30 a day in ads. Like your clients' money is gonna cover it. You're not really spending that money out of pocket, and
nah,
they spend the money and they just don't have any social proof. Like it just doesn't work out because
Yeah,
yeah, it's like ads is like meant to supplement fire that's already there.
exactly.
It's supposed to add more fuel to the fire, but people are
A
adding
hundred
fuel when there's
percent.
no fire. It's like it's not really gonna work out.
100%, right?
Yeah,
So if you can't sell it without ads, if you can't sell it organically, for most businesses, right? If you're
yeah,
running an e-commerce physical product thing, okay, then run some ads here or there. But if you have a surface-based HC, a course, a coach, you're a coach. If you can't sell it organically, uh, don't even think about running ads because I mean
yeah.
you're going to put in a lot of money up front. Your message is not proven. You don't have proof of concept. You don't have any clients or social proof. Like you said, it's meant to be a supplement. So yeah, I love the fact that we did it the other way around.
Exactly, yeah. So now you just have, just cash flow to be able to like, put into ads because what most people
Exactly.
would do is that they'll put like the whole 2 or 3K into ads and they're like, this has to give me a return, this has to. And then if it doesn't, it's like they just spent all
Yeah.
the money. So yeah,
And the
it's not
other
good.
thing is you'll be dependent, right? If the ad account gets banned or terminated, right? You're back to square zero. But if you have that
Yeah,
organic backbone, if you have built an audience, if you have good messaging, and the proper systems or appointment setters in place, then the ads are just a supplement. It's not your saving grace. You don't want to be in that position.
exactly, exactly. So what would you say would be like the biggest advice to, let's say, coaches that are like around that like 5K to 10, 15K mark that are looking to scale to, 30, 40, 50K? What would you say is like the biggest piece of advice? Because obviously you've lived through it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, big time. I think I've said it over 10 times already throughout this call. I would say have another look at your messaging. Like, even if you think you've been selling it up until this point, it's been doing good, really look at your messaging again because the competition out there is getting bigger and your messaging needs to be more irresistible than it was before. So, if you need help with that, obviously, Muhiz, you know exactly how that's done. So I'd recommend them go and talk with Muhiz, get that taken care of, and then build a team, right? Build a team, have leverage. Those are the two things. It's really messaging and leverage that help me scale, and I would recommend that to anyone. If I would say anything else, it would be counterintuitive because I grew exactly that way, and that's what I do for our clients right now. So that's the best way I can preach it.
Exactly, exactly. And like, what would you say is like the goal for the next 6 months now? What's your goal?
Oh, the next 6 months. I think I want to do a consecutive, so not just once, but a consecutive 100K month. I think that's very feasible, especially if we start running up the ads. So I'm excited for that. That's going to be the goal.
Excited. Excited, nice. And like, what's the next trips that you have planned as well too?
The next trip. So we got potentially Bali coming up.
Yeah,
We have Cape Town coming up as well, and Dubai as well. So those are
let's
the
go, let's
three.
go. The
And any
entrepreneur
other
hub.
trip, exactly. Any other trip in the meanwhile might sneak up on me, and I'm gone again. So we'll see.
Nice. And one more final thing now that you've given everyone advice and everything. Let's say, for example, you're like a coach and you're looking to, like, build something that you've like built right now, like, a business that allows you to, do the stuff you want to do, travel, all
Yeah.
that type of stuff. Would you recommend anyone to, work with a team like us?
Yeah, big time, 100%. Highly recommended. And again, even just getting to experience the level of help you provide is just so eye-opening for yourself because the way you guys helped me opened my eyes into how I can help my clients even more as well. And the way from the onboarding stuff, from the accountability stuff, it's like, hey, this worked really well for me. Let me take some of the things you guys do for me and do this for my clients as well. So it will benefit you in a lot of different ways, not only just helping you get more leads, more attention, but also really optimizing your offer, your delivery, automating stuff, and just overall your client satisfaction, which at the end of the day is one of the most important things because if people hate your offer, you don't got a business.
Exactly. And just to even touch on that as well too, like you don't always have to have an offer that is directly related to make attention, generate money, generate more sales. Like I've had so many clients that have been able to scale as well too that just have offers that around different stuff, like around like health, around mindset. It just all comes down to what Raheem said: the messaging, how you position it, is always going to be the game changer for you. So if you have those types of offers and you're like, oh, this is not going to work for me, it's literally the same principle. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man,
So
that's it. That's all I can say. I highly
yeah.
recommend it.
Nice, appreciate that. So yeah, I mean that was the interview, guys. So hopefully you guys got a lot of value. Hope you guys got a lot of source. If you want to reach out to Raheem, his socials will be down in the links as well too, and my socials as well too will be down there too. And if you want to hop to a call and see ways we can actually help you implement stuff that we've done for Raheem, links are also going to be there as well too. And this case study document, if you prefer to read all of this stuff, is also going to be down below too. And yeah, any final words you want to say, Raheem?
Yeah, well, what I want to say, it's funny, I just realized this while you were talking, is when I got started in this industry online, I used to watch a lot of interviews like these, like, oh, success story, X amount of dollars. I was the one consuming it, and now I'm actually on this thing. I'm the one conducting it. So it's just a realization I have right now. So, oh,
Yeah.
I'm now one of the thumbnails. So that's crazy. And
Yeah,
I
it's
hope that
crazy, man.
inspires people.
Yeah, it's crazy. So if that's you watching this right now, you could be on the thumbnail for the next one. So yeah, so on that, I guess we'll end it here. And like I said, links, everything's in the description. We'll speak very soon. Peace out.